Hello again everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Comic Kid here, and today we will be discussing Hasbro's Marvel Legends line versus Mattel's DC Multiverse figures. There are a lot of key differences between the two figures, just not only in characters, but in design, style, articulation, and all that as well. To start off, Hasbro, in my opinion, is clearly the better one. As you can see here, Spider-Man has like double jointed elbows, double jointed legs, his feet are very posable, he's got all the same leg joints there as Batwoman. The head here on her will go all the way around. It's just very difficult with the hair. That's always a problem with female figures, however. But Spider-Man also has the advantage of these butterfly joints here, which means his arms can move in and out repeatedly. And that is always a very nice plus. Now, a problem that Hasbro faces is there's a lot of inconsistencies with their figures all across the board. For example, this Daredevil here has all the exact same joints that Spider-Man does. He's got the elbows, the legs, the abs, and everything, but as you can see, there's no double jointed shoulders there. Why they chose to do that with a character like Daredevil, I don't know. That really limits the posability of the figure, and as you can see, he's in a much more lame pose than Spider-Man. Now, Hasbro also has a problem when it comes to their female figures because Elektra is even more limited. No double jointed shoulders at all, no double jointed elbows even, if you can see there. She's just got the one, so that is the max amount that her arm can go up. Now, even though Hasbro is the better of the two makers, these constant inconsistencies are kind of troublesome. There are reasons for these inconsistencies, like sometimes, yes, it is to save a buck, but a lot of the times it's like they feel they don't have the room. And therefore they would rather keep the appeal of the mold of the figure rather than sacrifice appearance for movement. That being said, I don't know why they don't add double jointed elbows to their lady figures. You see other toy makers like McFarlane Toys, even DC Multiverse can put them in, or not Multiverse, DC Collectibles. The new Essentials line has double jointed elbows on their female figures. So this is some place where Hasbro is really lacking at the moment. It's really on the female sculpt and design. Now, I saved Mattel's Multiverse for last because they do have that advantage, however. Their figures are pretty consistent all across the board. No Mattel figure has double jointed elbows. For whatever reason, male, female, big, small, they cannot add double jointed elbows to their figures. Even so, these double jointed knee joints here are very, very new. This Batwoman is actually one of the first wave of figures to have double jointed knees. Again, don't know why it took them so long to add it, but it did. And yes, that being said, even the male figures will have an ab crunch to a degree. That is really the only difference between the male and female figures, is I believe the male ab crunch is slightly lower, kind of on the hips here. And aside from all that, Mattel is actually relatively consistent with the make of their figures. Now, a lot of other people like to grade based on like paint, sculpt, this, that, the other. And that's really up to your personal preference. There's really no way to determine one as better than the other. You can say that some Spider-Man molds are better than other Spider-Man molds. They keep releasing Spider-Man, why wouldn't they? Daredevil's another one that they've made several times. That's usually the same sculpt, however. And if you compare Hasbro's Marvel Legends Elektra with the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Elektra, you definitely notice some improvements, at least in my opinion. But again, things like sculpt and paint are really up to the individual. That being said, with Mattel's new wave of multiverse figures that come in the blue boxes, they tend to pick a variety of styles. It's a little weird. Some look way more comic book-y or cartoon-y or even more realistic than others than you'd think some should. Like their Suicide Squad line doesn't really look anything like the cast. It just looks like they did a quick sketch, did a 3D rendering of it, and went from there. That being said, the face on this Batwoman alone does seem to be very nicely sculpted out and well made and everything. I think they did a really good job with this figure, even if her joints do cause some limited mobility and therefore posability, but I do really like the way she turned out. And that's everything for today. These are just my personal opinions on the two major toy line makers. There's really no right or wrong here. It's all up to you as an individual. Feel free to click that subscribe button, and I will see you all again next week.